Elon's men's and women's basketball teams moved into the beautiful Shaw Center this season, and after the inaugural season in the new arena, I'm joined by Emmanuel Tobe, Gentry, and former Elon student body president Kenneth Brown Jr. to break down the biggest stories from this season. So guys, the men's team has a new coach. Mike Schrage will take over for Matt Matheny after an 11-21 season. What does this mean for the program moving forward that we have a new head coach, new guy at the helm?
I think one thing that it means excitement. I mean, loads of people are excited about this new coach. Given some of the lackluster seasons the men's basketball team has produced over the past few years and kind of getting a fresh take and fresh eyes, like just the amount of experience he has bring, like Ohio State, Butler, Stanford, Duke, like there's power in being around, and Mike has been around.
Oh yeah, and I definitely agree with that point that you were saying about the experience. You know, as you said, it's not just about the teams, but also the names that he's been with. You know, Bob Knight, Coach K, like just so many great names. He has that experience where, you know, not just going through different situations, but, you know, people like Coach K, people like Bob Knight, they also not just know how to coach, but also know how to manage players and know how to really help and encourage and motivate. And he got that experience learning from them. So I'm really excited to see how he motivates our players, how he encourages them, and just how he teaches as well.
And going off of that, he also brought in Tyler Lewis, a former guard at NC State, and Butler to be the basketball operations, and they've been active in recruiting since they agreed to the deal. They've been traveling all up and down the East Coast. They're trying to get future Phoenix in here, and they're trying to make the Shaw Center pop in and bring that environment that we had for the first half against Chapel Hill for every game. And when that, if you start to even just build up, when it takes off, it's going to catch fire.
Yeah, I think one thing that Coach Schrage should do, like, there's also another word that comes to mind is capitalize. I'm like, we saw how many close games the men's basketball team lost, 2 overtime losses, to Northeastern, 2 one-point losses, including 1 to UNCG. It's just like so many times, like this team has been there, the pieces have been there, but finishing wasn't their strong suit. Now, if they just get over that hump, I think we can see some pretty big wins next season.
Yeah, I agree, but you know, on the standpoint of finishing, some people say that it's on the players. Some people that say that it's on the coaching. A lot of people say it's on the environment as well. And if you're at home, you know, that having the fans rile you up if you're down by 2 or if it's a tie game. So it's not just the players that need to come. It's not just Coach Schrage that needs to come, but also the fans, especially when we have the team that we're going to have and the growth that we're going to have this season as well.
Elon men's team, no NCAA tournament period since 1997. Look to change that with a new coach at the helm. Say about the women. So 2 straight CAA championships and NCAA tournament berths. However, 9-21 this season under Coach Charlotte Smith. How can they change that?
Tough question. I think they just have
not an easy question.
Not an easy question, but I think one thing that, you know, so they've been through the lows, and so when you've been through the lows, you're also going to go through some highs. This season, so they lost Rashika White to Middle Tennessee, lost Jada Graves in the first game. A very young class this season, a young class last season, but they had some experience. They had no experience this time around, and then some of the players just went cold in the second half of the season. And so just developing that tough mentality, getting scrappy. I mean, like, we have a tall team. Only 2 players are below 5'9". So just, you know, get big, get tough. And then just play hard.
And you talk about experience, and you know, a lot of people talk about the experience of winning and things like that. But if you look at our core, our young core this year, you know what they didn't have a lot of experience doing? Losing.
Yes.
They have not had a lot of experience losing until this year. So I think this year was definitely a period of growth for the team, as they went through a lot of struggles that, you know, they have not been through since they, you know,
adversity.
They've been really looking for a true leader to take the reins and take them to the next level. This year they went from 2 mountaintops down to the lowest of valleys that they could, and now they're trying to get back to the top. And it's really, who wants to take control? Is it going to be Sadia Mumford? Is it going to be Bree? Is it going to be any player? If you want to take the reins, and this team can take off and go back to being the top at the CAA.
Yeah, and one thing that you can count on is Coach Smith using this past season has motivation for next season. And, you know, her mentality is probably going to be next person up. Keep going, keep
She will not let her players forget this season. 4 straight winning seasons, and this season obviously fell off. We talked about it. No seniors, one of the youngest teams in the country. Kenneth Brown Jr., huge Elon sports fan. Then these 2 guys, members of the Elon women's basketball broadcasting team. So these are our experts. We have the very best of you guys. Well, that's all the time we have for Elon Hoops. Stay tuned for Andrew and I talking about athletes with the same name right after this.